This week on Star Wars Sucks, tornadoes and trouble. Displaced from their regular studio, the Circle of Nerds find themselves in strange locations trying to produce a successful podcast. Can they do it? Stay tuned, intrepid listeners! Howdy, succulents! Welcome to Star Wars Sucks! This podcast certainly does. Your non-toxic, low-sodium Star Wars show that doesn't make you feel bad for not knowing that the cantina in Star Wars A New Hope was owned by a Wookiee named Chalum. And it was actually Chalum's Cantina. So there you go. So whether you're a hardcore fan or just a little sporsy curious, this is your Star Wars safe space. So we are the Circle of Nerds, and we do absolutely love Star Wars, even if we don't always like it. So let's meet the team, shall we? So from my left, your right, it is the sensational Sherry, a.k.a. the Bog Witch.
Bog Witch. Hello, everyone.
And hailing from parts unknown, it's T to the Oni.
Welcome back, everybody.
And I am, of course, Tommy D, your more than slightly obnoxious Star Wars know-it-all. So what are we doing here? Well, our mission is to watch all of the Star Wars canon films and TV shows in chronological order, breaking them down, connecting the dots, and learning more about Star Wars and maybe even a little bit about ourselves. Warning, there will be spoilers. So, if you haven't already noticed, this week there are a couple of changes. We are displaced from our home currently due to tornado activity. Everyone's fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. Now, how are you? We're just without power, so we've got to figure it out. So the sensational Sherry is hanging out at her parents' house. I'm sitting in a car in a parking lot, and Tony's chilling. So there you go. And Daddy Louie said that he may not be joining us this evening because he's also got some tornado warnings. So hopefully he'll be okay out there.
He's got internet.
In the outer rim territory of Boss Dwayne. So I'm not going to expect the guy to do a podcast in a tornado. I mean, I would have done it from the tornado. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm doing it from the car.
Power.
There you go. The show must go on.
Anyway. No, I'm just fucking with them.
So this week we're talking about episodes 13 through 17. Bit of a long watch because we kind of had to do it all at once, just obviously because of our situation. But it was necessary just because of the way the episodes do break down as we get closer to the end of the season here. Mm-hmm. So these episodes were released between January and February of 2009. And all of the episodes take place around 21 BBY, except for episode 16, which takes place 22 BBY during the Battle of Christophsis. And of course, we've seen that. We know that from the animated film. And the events of this episode line up perfectly with the film. So as the episode ends, the film begins. So that's a nice little tie-in. I'm not sure why exactly they did that. We'll have to look into that. I think maybe the movie actually came out after that episode, or with the writing or something. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. But a lot of people have said that the movie kind of felt like an afterthought, and maybe it wasn't necessarily supposed to happen. But I don't know.
The animated movie?
The animated film, yeah. But I don't know all the trivia behind that, so we'll have to look into that. So anyone listening to this, if you happen to know, let us know. Send us a message. Put it in the comments below. So now a note on BBY, ABY. So the events of Star Wars A New Hope, those are considered 0 year. So anything that happens before the events in Star Wars A New Hope, which of course came out in 1979, or 77, I'm sorry, that's considered BBY. Anything that happens after that. Or ABY, I'm sorry, I'm all jacked up. Anything that happens before the Battle of Yavin is BBY. So everything in the Clone Wars is BBY before the Battle of Yavin.
Are you guys
you might hear it.
confused yet?
I know I am, and I'm the one saying it. So, so let's get going. The very first episode that we're watching this week, episode 13, Jedi Crash. I thought it was a very cool episode. We get to see more of Ahsoka and Anakin, their bond. Mm-hmm. Ahsoka does not want to leave Anakin's side. Obviously. Aayla Secura, fine AF. They drew the hell out of her.
They really did. It was.
She's looking like a Jedi master with an OnlyFans. I'm like,
she's looking like a snack.
She's looking like a whole meal. But the episode just really did feel a lot more like, we're seeing more about how to the Jedi love and attachment becomes harmful just because of the way that they're structured. Right. And you start to see Ahsoka really questioning Jedi philosophy.
Yeah.
It's not making sense to her. Why, we're supposed to be compassionate, but not form attachment. So it's like.
I kind of like that.
What are your thoughts?
I kind of like that. Yeah, what you said. So she should still be able to attach to her master. Like, even the Jedi, what was her name again?
Aayla
Secura, something like that.
Secura. She even said that. Like, I thought of mine as a father. Well, yeah, because you were a baby and some grown man or woman, whatever, is, or whatever, you go by. But if you thought of him as a father, then that's an attachment, right? Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, we saw it in the Acolyte too. We saw the attachment between Soul and Osha. It was
that ended
obviously
badly.
It did end badly, but the Jedi, they suppressed that instead of using it.
I think Ahsoka will. Well, she's using it. I know she did what the Master said and went and did what she had to do and realized that she should have went to help Anakin, but again, they're making them make these bad choices, or these hard choices, not bad choices. The hard choices, yeah. Now, sometimes you have to do that, of course, in life as well. So these are just like life lessons, to be honest.
And in the end, I agree. I agree 100%. I think a lot of the things that we see in the Clone Wars, which another reason why I think it's great, is we do get life lessons. The show's made for like preteens, so it's like they're trying to teach kids these lessons in some way. They don't get it right every time. Obviously, they do the best they can. So all the attachment, and it's like they never seem to use it the right way. They never embrace it. Embrace the attachment, learn from it, use it. So yeah, Anakin, they get fucked up, crash land on this planet, and they have to get help from the Lurmen, the little Scottish monkey people. And they were divided. They're kind of like, we see that they're dealing in absolutes, much the same way that the Jedi and the Sith do. The Jedi deal in absolutes, the Sith deal in absolutes, and so do Scottish monkeys.
Right. Well, I mean, you can still protect yourself without getting yourself into the actual war, and I think the son, his son actually helped him realize that a little bit. So.
Right. Yeah, and this was a 2-part episode, so 13 and 14. This was a continuation. Tony, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
So what I found, and I think this actually goes for at least 3 out of the 4 episodes for this watch through that we did, we're seeing more about the galaxy outside of the war itself, and getting an understanding of how even though these planets aren't directly involved, they're being dragged into it, and it's just it becomes an all-encompassing thing, even if you don't want it to be. And unfortunately, that's very much in real life. That's just the way that works.
Holy shit! Yeah.
I agree. It was nice to see, us building up the understanding of Ahsoka's character.
Oh, yeah.
I will say for the Lurman, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they have little jetpacks on their back, but they should not just be able to roll in infinity like they seem to do. But hey, that's cool. Whatever works for them.
That's how they get around. They're like lemurs.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're like Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what they were doing. They were
exactly.
They were hedgehogging it.
I like that.
I don't know if I can. You know what? If I can suspend disbelief for space wizards and laser swords, I'll go ahead and suspend disbelief for
absolutely same. It's one of those things.
Scottish monkeys.
I saw I first saw them start rolling. I'm like, okay, that's a neat little trick if you're going downhill. Now you keep going. Okay.
Just there he goes.
I don't know what that muscle structure looks like to make that work, but okay.
It's entirely possible that they have muscles in places we don't know about that clench up.
It's totally fine. It was interesting. I was like, oh, okay.
They engage their upper and lower flurmen simultaneously, and it helps to propel them across any surface.
Sure.
They have true 4-wheel drive.
Oh my god!
It's not even all-wheel drive. It's true four flurman drive. The Lurman and the Flurman. I'm not making this up. Look it up. Upper and lower flurman. It's a thing. Look it up.
Yeah, sure.
Different franchise, but it's a thing. So their leader, I can't remember his name, but their leader, he did eventually admit, obviously that there may be times where resistance is not futile and is actually worthwhile.
Right.
But he did make a very interesting point to Master Secura when he had said that when you lay down your arms, that'll prove to me that the Jedi are actually peacekeepers. And so it's a valid point. We see Jedi. We've only ever seen Jedi in combat roles.
Yeah.
We've never really seen Jedi as peacekeepers. We've never seen them. I mean, yes, they go on diplomatic missions and things like that, but those diplomatic missions always devolve into aggressive negotiations, as Padme and Anakin would say.
Right. They should only be negotiators. They shouldn't even have a lightsaber, to be honest. I mean, if that's your true calling.
If we go back to, I'm pretty sure it's in episode 1 where Mace Windu says, "We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're all generals. Like, you get that up pretty quick.
They sure did.
Quickly.
It did.
So, as we move into episode 15, Trespass, we're seeing, and we'll get more in this in just a second, but we're seeing the chairman and the young senator really kind of trying to use the Jedi and the clones as their own militant arm.
Yes.
And Obi-Wan had to check both of them multiple times. We're not here for that. Even Rex had to check that chairman a couple times. Like, we're here to protect you, and you're telling us to murder these indigenous people. We'll get to the indigenous people. We'll get to that in a second. I just want to, again, as we always do each week when needed, we want to do, say our thoughts and prayers to troopers who we lost in most vile and painful ways. And in those episodes, in episode 13, Cameron, Lucky, and Flesh, Cameron especially, got taken out by the turkey dogs. So they were turkey dog snacks. So thoughts and prayers, brothers. You will not be forgotten. We're going to put you on our wall of remembrance. I'm glad that they named them too, because we've got some other troopers that we're going to honor that They didn't get names. They just died.
No.
Poor fellas. All right. So Cameron, Lucky, and Flesh. Terrible name for a clone trooper, Flesh, because, yeah.
It's only a flesh wound.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, there you go. Flesh wound. I was thinking
Turkey
something
dogs.
totally different, but okay.
Flesh Light.
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn, you nasty. You nasty.
I am the bog witch.
You are the bog witch. Yikes. So, episode 15, Trespass. Oh, I'm sorry. So, episode 13, 14, what are we thinking? Worth watching? I thought they were great episodes, personally.
Agreed. I will say I really like, as much as I want to dislike the big bad in these episodes. Yeah, once you hear George Takei's voice, it's hard to hate.
Oh yeah. I was waiting for an oh my.
Oh my.
Right?
Yeah.
I felt like
George
that
Takei's
was
the bomb.
George Takei is the bomb, and I feel like that was a missed opportunity. Like when he saw the Jedi for the first time, oh my. Like that was perfect.
That would have been funny.
Dave Filoni, come on. You're better than that, buddy.
I don't think I've ever seen him as like a villain. I mean, I know this is a cartoon, but I don't.
I feel like he's probably lent his voice to a villain once or twice. He's done a lot of voiceover work. He has a beautiful voice. That's why
he does.
He has a great voice.
He does.
And it's immediately recognizable.
I know, right?
I love that George is like in Star Wars and Star Trek. I love it.
Well, hell yeah. I mean, he's kind of typecast, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
I just go for it.
Well, and that commander that he was voicing, that's got to be a new cosplay for me. I think I might have to.
Oh my god!
Let me see if I can do it. All right. So, Trespass, another sort of life lesson. Dealing with indigenous people, dealing with greed, racism, arrogance, ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
When dealing with the Talls. Again, I mean, it's just it's nothing we haven't seen before, especially in this country. Interesting thing: the Talls, that species, you'll actually see one of those in A New Hope, in Chalam's Cantina.
Yes.
And interestingly, he was abandoned on Tatooine as an infant. He spent his entire adult life on Tatooine. So I thought that was very interesting. But, so thoughts on this episode, Trespass.
Well,
it sucked.
What is it? The Chancellor.
I thought this episode was gorgeous. I love this planet. It is, and the introduction of the Talls and the beasts that they ride. It was great.
Yeah, I would totally have one of those beasts. Just saying.
Oh man, and I think I looked them up too because I've seen them before. I don't know. Narglatches
is the beast, right?
They're so badass. That's the beast, yeah.
I do like the way Obi-Wan handled it, and he told Anakin to shut up.
He did. He really, really did. He's like, Anakin, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he was... I thought that was a really good diplomatic interaction. He did a good job.
He did.
Because Obi-Wan is that guy. He is that diplomat,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's that should be their only function.
Right.
To be honest.
Right, and that's what they tried to explain to the chairman, and he wasn't having it. And even the senator, she was like, I order you. You serve the Senate. I order you to do this. And Obi-Wan had to check her. He had to check her because it's like everyone tries to use the Jedi, but the Jedi compromise themselves, and they allow it to happen.
True.
But I mean, I don't know how much sway the Senate has over the Jedi Order. Like, we got a little taste of that in the Acolyte. They're coming down to inspect you. You got to, there's like a Senate hearing about the Jedi. Like, could the Senate dismantle and shut down the Jedi Order? Do they have that power and authority?
Well, I think they do. Because the Jedi could do some shady shit. obviously.
So they do act in like an oversight capacity to try to keep the Jedi in check. Then.
Yes, to me, this I I know I'm changing worlds here, but to me, this is similar to the Sokovia Accords in Marvel, where it's we want to make you a force that we can control, and it's no, that's a bad idea.
Right.
We need to be able to do what we need to do.
That's a good point.
It's all about the power. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Again, rolls right into real life.
So could the Jedi? Do we think that the Jedi Order could function independently without the oversight of some sort of governing body? You know, we've heard about through the Acolyte, we've heard about splinter groups, break-off groups of Jedi that go off and do their own thing. They obviously have no oversight. We don't know if they're good or bad because, we can refer to the books and things like that, but since we're just dealing with what we're seeing on screen, at this point we don't know, about these other Jedi enclaves or splinter groups that are out there somewhere. So could the Order itself, do you think, could the Order itself function properly without any sort of governmental oversight? Or does it need that level of checks and balances?
I think this is a question of how we define the Order. Like, if I think of the Jedi as a religion, as a belief system, as whatever, then sure, there's no reason why they need that. But once they assume this role of keepers of the peace, well, who determines what the laws are that they are keeping the peace for? And so you have to have some structure behind that in order to establish rules. But I think if the timeline went differently, where there was an actual army of the Republic to enforce its own rules before the Jedi existed, then the Jedi wouldn't be needed for that role, and they could just be themselves.
Just hanging out in a monastery somewhere.
Yeah, more like monks, to be honest. I mean, but yeah, you're right, Tony. I mean, once you say, well, I'm the keeper of the peace, we've heard that before in real life, movies, everything. We're just the keepers of the peace. But then, who checks them?
Right.
When they're keeping the peace.
So we haven't been doing this. So light side, dark side, blast points for this episode. We didn't do that for the last 3 episodes, but so what do we think about this episode? Because there's a little more of a political lean on this one. In politics, people are like, I don't want to talk about politics in Star Wars, but Star Wars is deeply rooted in politics. So in this particular episode, we're seeing a little bit more of that. So Sherry, what about you? Light side, dark side, your blast points.
The light side is, obviously them doing actually what they're supposed to be doing, is keeping the peace. Talking to this indigenous species that obviously lived on the planet. They're not space worthy, so, they tried to explain this. And the dark side was that...
That was a big... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm saying, so that was, for you, that was the big pro. If we're talking pros and cons, that was like getting to see them in that diplomatic, seeing Obi-Wan really handle his business. I mean, seeing the diplomatic side of the Jedi.
But and also that species was actually more intelligent than the guy that thought he, was superior. Yeah, sure. They're just animals. Well, no, they just look different. Again, you're judging a book by its cover. Just because you cannot understand what they're saying doesn't mean that they're animals or third world type or whatever. It's the same
savages.
Thing of...
He kept insulting them. Yeah.
It's like going somewhere where there's just indigenous people that have lived for thousands of years this way, and you're like, well, no. I'm gonna own you because you're a savage. You don't know what you're doing. So it's the same in our human evolution and how we've treated others, obviously, poorly.
So what are your cons for this episode? What's your cons about this episode? What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
solid episode for you then. Nothing really negative to say about it?
Pretty good. I mean, no, I didn't really have anything negative about the whole episode itself. I thought it was interesting.
Okay.
And blast points, don't be an asshole. I mean, I don't. That's my blast point. Like,
right.
don't, just treat people how you'd want to be treated. Like, if you wanted something on that planet, he could have asked them, like, hey, we want to come here and, I don't know, take some of your snow. I have no idea. I'm just saying, work together. And I think that Race would have let them do that if he wasn't such an ass.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Tony, what about you? Your pros, cons, and blast points. Anything interesting or impactful or a hot take?
So I absolutely agree on all the pro points. The big con for me is that, I mean, I just don't understand the. I can't think of his name at the moment now. But the jackass, I just don't understand his motivations. Like,
right.
Essentially speaking, this is a giant frozen ball of a planet.
Right.
That's only the only reason why anybody is there is because you're using it as a lookout point. And you need the Republic's help to do that. You can't manage that yourselves. Like, there's no value to this place by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certainly no value in destroying an indigenous people just because they happen to be in this place where none of your people live, by the way.
Right. Just to do it because you can.
Right. So for me, that's almost a plot hole. Like, I understand why we need to do it to establish this character and give you the other side of things. And sadly, there are people in real life that have that bigotry and animosity towards others.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, but at the same time, it's just it doesn't make any strategic sense.
Right.
It's just, and I don't think it, to people like that, I don't think it has to. It's like, you look at, if we want to equate that to real life and world history, there's been a lot of times where people have conquered lands that have no value to them, but they do it because they can, and they want to have that big dick energy and say, look at my territory on this map. Look at how much of it I have. And the chairman's mentioned that. He said, I am the sovereign ruler of this planet. This is the moon. This is mine. This belongs to me. Whether you need it or not is irrelevant. It's just, feeding that ego.
Mm.
So,
so that was a down point for me, just for that aspect of it. As far as, just other blast points and whatnot, for me, again, I will just say, visually, this episode, this planet just had so much different to it than what we've seen so far in this show.
Yeah. That
I really did appreciate that. I would like to get the jacket that Obi-Wan's wearing. That would be very nice.
Right. They had the snow drip on this week.
Mm-hmm.
They had the snow drip.
I definitely don't need it now when it's this hot out, but
Yeah, no. I like those speeders. I like the enclosed, the enclosed canopy speeders. Those were kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have a blast point for all Star Wars. This is my hot take. This is my hot take for the entire Star Wars franchise. Everything from start to finish. Is there nowhere else to go on a planet? Like these guys, the Tulls, they live in this one area in a single cave on this planet, and they're like, the fuck out. Get the fuck off my planet. Are there no more? Are you the only Tulls on the planet? Is there not another side? Can you not it's like with everything in Star Wars, everything is it's the planet. Okay, well, go to the other side. my dude. I mean, it's like they can
Mhm.
live here. It's cool. Nobody else lives on this entire planet. Are they the only Talls there? Is that the only place that they live on the entire fucking planet? And if so, what's on the other side of the planet that you can't colonize or do something to?
Right.
That's everything in Star Wars. It's like one city is like the entire planet. If it's not Coruscant, Coruscant is one city that's an entire planet. I get that.
Correct.
Mhm.
But in this case, it's like,
Well,
it's like,
and
come on,
Naboo.
it's the same thing. And Naboo.
Well, Naboo
you've got,
has the different species.
you've got
so-
Theed. Theed is a city. Theed is
Yeah.
the city. But are you telling me there's no other continents? There's not like an island somewhere. There's no other land masses or forms on this planet. And it's like when they do a blockade of a planet, it's like they're lined up in a wall in front of the planet. It's like, motherfucker, I can go up, down, around you. I can come in from the other side where you're not at. How is 8 ships spread out in a line supposed to stop me? No, that just go around or go underneath. Like you've got
magic.
3 dimensions
It's
you can move in. Again, I know you have to suspend disbelief. It's just for the story. It's just for the visuals.
There is
of
no
it.
physics involved.
Like in the Phantom Menace, when they were going to get run the blockade, you could have just gone out the back door off the other side of the planet. You didn't have to go through them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Sure.
why do I even watch these movies?
I know I've only read a few of the books so far, but I will say so far in the books that I've read, they do a much better job of exploring a whole planet as opposed to just the site of a battle or whatever.
20 square miles of it.
Yeah.
Like this entire episode took place in like 20 square miles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's somebody else on the other side of the planet just like eating a bag of like, I don't know, frozen chips or I don't know, whatever the Talls
Really?
eat.
Frozen chips. Okay.
I don't know. They got to eat something. I mean, some monk fruit. I don't know. I don't know what they're
So
eating.
those creatures, they look like. Have you ever? Obviously, you guys seen The Fly,
Oh yeah,
the
Mhm.
movie?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what he looks like with the little.
they got the little
But
tube.
they look like
little tube
frozen.
mouth.
They look like Yetis, but with their 3 little
I want
eyes.
to know what
and-
they eat. I'm gonna look them up. I
Well, apparently they suck something because they only have that little sucker mouth.
Yeah, they sure do. They sure do. Oh, Sherry froze up. That's so funny. She froze up.
What?
Sherry, are you with us? Are you still there?
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay, you froze up for a
What
second,
happened?
and you were like, "Yeah, they suck," and your screen was frozen while you were doing this. They suck. That's the thumbnail.
Well, at least I
Thumbnail.
wasn't doing that. I mean, that's
That's true.
But you are now, and the screen froze again.
no, it didn't.
Yes, Tony, did you see it or no?
It absolutely did. Not for long, but it did.
I'm just saying. All right, the universe is trying to tell you something. We'll discuss that more later.
Oh
So-
my god.
Oh, so moving on.
That's for our
Okay, what's
Patreon
the-
viewers only, folks.
Hey,
That's going. It's going on
What's
our
the-
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, jeez.
So hey,
What's
we
the
have
next
an
one?
idea for our OnlyFans. We'll talk about that another time, though.
Oh, not on here. Don't put
No,
that
not
on
here. No. We got a good idea for the OnlyFans.
That
Anyway.
is secret stuff.
So I know it's secret squirrel stuff. Okay, so episode 16, the hidden enemy. I thought this was a nice little insight more into the clone mindset. We see a traitor in their midst, sold them out for a little bit of money and maybe some massage ass. Oh, totally forgot. Last episode, remembrance, thoughts and prayers, snow speeder cavern troopers.
oh
They
yeah.
were going across the little ice bridge. It collapsed. Down they went screaming into the ice
But anyway,
darkness
so-
of death. So thoughts and prayers, brothers. Okay, so Asajj. And Asajj and Obi-Wan. I know it
was
didn't
gonna say,
happen, but it should
are
have.
we going to talk about their sexual escapade or what?
I am gonna
the
ship
tension.
them forever. There's so much
So much
sexual
tension.
tension between the two of them.
She
Yeah,
loves
there
him.
really is. Like the first time, when they interacted, I was like, okay, this is a little weird. The familiarity, you're
Right.
hinting about something, maybe, but no way. And then you hear it again, and you're like,
Mm.
maybe.
I mean, they just flat out went for it this time.
And when she took her robe off, she did it all slow. Like,
I was like,
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. Yeah,
and Obi's like, all right.
And she like kind of caressed herself as it came down her body. I was like, what's
you think they used the Force in their mind to come together?
Like, it almost makes you wonder what would happen if Anakin wasn't there.
Ah, man.
Some fighting.
What's that game? Kiss, Marry, Kill? Is that the game? Kiss.
Marry, Kill?
No.
Is it what? Fuck, Marry, Kill?
Marry, Boff, Kill.
Marry, Boff, Kill.
Okay.
So.
Marry, Boff.
And it's
that's
like,
I think. Rock.
Yeah, but I think I've heard that before. It's like, who would you, marry, fuck, or kill, or whatever. I feel like with those two, it's all three.
It is all
I think it's all. Mm-hmm. I think that I don't know if Asajj is the marrying type, but
but I think she'd try it out for Obi.
I think she would.
Or she loves some Obi-Wan.
I mean, there's just, and he's holding it back. We'll find out later about he does have an actual love interest, and we'll find out more about her later. But it's like, the Jedi Order says you can't be with her. But with Asajj, you can't have a relationship, but you can still, you can still have some fun.
Well, she's like a forbidden fruit.
Yeah, she is.
Like I think she's gross, but hey, you like what you like.
Yeah, she's cute. And they always say the mentally unstable ones are a little more wild. A little more wild in the sack.
But anyway, so that's their tension.
Yes, their tension. Anyway, so the episode we're seeing the clone trooper. And Slick, he's got this idea that the clones are enslaved. He feels that all of his brothers are slaves to the Republic and the Jedi. What are your thoughts on that? I thought that was a very interesting take.
They are.
That's a hot take.
They were bred to work for them.
So are they slaves? They were bought and paid for with Republic credits.
I'm not going to say...
Are they slaves?
I'm not going to say that. I think that's a little too much. But
is it though?
Well, I think it is, but...
if they leave, they can't just leave, or it's desertion. They'll be executed for desertion or imprisoned. They can't just say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out.
Oh, well, then yeah, they're bought and paid for.
One of them did, and we'll get to him in an episode.
Yeah, but I think that's where the spark is going to start for them to be a little more independent. I mean, they already picked names instead of their number, and that's really awesome. So yeah, I think he's the spark, and she might have did some mind shit on him.
That's possible too. But I think
it doesn't mean that the idea wasn't there though already.
Right.
She might have just played on what's happening.
And I didn't like I would like to have known more. Like, how did she even get to him? Like, the clones don't just they don't hang out at a bar, and they're on a planet that's currently that they're fighting on. So it's not like he went down to the village and hung out, and she just happened to bump into him there. I would have liked to have known more about how the two of them met.
Old boy was hiding in a corner collecting friggin' droid fingers. So why wouldn't he maybe go down to the bar? I mean,
but that was all within their base camp. Where granted,
she's all over the place.
She's like a little ninja, so I guess
she's all over the place. If he was in a little corner and she sensed him.
So do you think that's what it was? She kind of sensed his descent?
I think so.
She sensed that he was starting to have questions about his purpose and the purpose of his brothers?
That would make the most sense to me. And mm-hmm. I will say my curiosity with Slick and this whole concept is this just a weird flaw in his programming?
That's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm.
Because, presumably speaking, they've been given, whether it's a implanted chip or if it's just,
in their DNA.
Just built into their structure and their entire childhood as they were raised. With this sense of duty, with this sense of I take orders and I don't question things, and so far from the things that I have seen, it is very, very, very rare that any of them overcome that.
Right. Well, because the doctor on Camino says that when they were first found, like in the movie, they actually say they are genetically altered for combat
use,
like that's
yeah.
for intelligence, and like they really, so it should have been bred out of them.
And didn't one of the other clones in his squad say something like, "Oh, I knew you were defective," or something like that? Did he? I thought that he made a comment like that when
I don't remember.
Not to Slick, but to the other one,
the one that they were suspecting before Slick,
with the droid,
the other one with the
droid fingers. Yeah, I thought they had said to him, I always thought you were defective or something like that. So
he did.
That's even something in there within clone culture, is to think of themselves as items. Like, you're defective, you're broken. He didn't say, I thought there was something wrong with you. You're defective.
If you think a certain way that's not with their training, then you're defective. If you have a free thought that I want to put it that way.
No, you're right. You're right. But what I'm saying is, like, the words that he used, you're defective. Like, if somebody,
like a robot.
I would like a robot, right? I would never say that to someone. I would say, dude, you're fucked up, or you're crazy, or there's something wrong with you, which is obviously the same thing as saying you're defective. But I think it shows that they're bred to see themselves as a tool, as an item, as an object, as a piece of property. And Slick was like, yeah, fuck that.
I think I'm going to refer to people slaves. Like that.
You're defective. You're a defective clone.
It's a nice way to do an insult.
I mean, as much as he's a jackass, Slick has a point.
Correct.
There's a better way of going about it, but he had a point.
He did.
He did have a point.
I agree.
All right, so pros, cons, any sort of blast point of a hot take about this episode.
I mean, to me, the con to this episode was just that it's out of order, and they don't tell you that. Like, we know that by the context of it, but like, if you hadn't seen the movie, this episode doesn't make sense. At least where it's located.
I could see that.
Well, because you're like, where's Ahsoka?
Right.
I think that's the big thing, because if you, like you said, if you hadn't seen the movie, because in this particular episode, Ahsoka hasn't gotten there yet.
Right.
But for this entire season, we've seen her for the last fucking basically 13 episodes, 14, 15 episodes, and now what is she at? So yeah, that's a good point.
Beyond that, I thought it was a good episode. I think that it does a good job of setting up where the movie is. Like, it makes sense in particular why they're struggling so much, because they've lost all that weaponry. All they've got left are the heavy cannons. That they're, and honestly, I would need to go back and watch the movie again at this point, but there are certain points in the movie where some of the clones seem like they're struggling a bit, and it would make sense if they're struggling because they're just coming off of this betrayal by one of their own. But obviously, we didn't know that at the time.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So maybe their morale's down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we're still really early in the Clone Wars, and then so to have one of your brothers turn against you like that, I could see that, man.
I think he was just trying to save them, though, from themselves. Because I think he's striving to be an actual individual.
An individual. He wants to be an individual.
I think,
that's absolutely right.
I think for him, I have a name, but I'm still not an individual. I have, 14,000 brothers here, or however many clones there are. Because they're still producing them at this point, I think.
Oh, yeah. They're still getting pumped out.
Yeah, so it's like...
I mean, every time you see one of those capital ships get blown up, there's like 20,000 clones that got, incinerated on that ship. I mean, clones were dying by the tens of thousands. I mean, every time a ship blows up, it's just a lot of life was lost.
But that could be what pushed him over the edge. You see all your brothers dying because they are your brothers.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really...
I think they're closer than brothers since they're clones. Their DNA is exactly the same.
Think of how close twins are, and then multiply that by like 1 billion.
Right. Identical twins. Mm-hmm. But, so you feel... I think at some point there's going to be a defect. I'm not saying it really is a defect, but within the system, as they start pumping out clones, and also Django's the clone, the original, right?
Yeah,
and
Django. He died. He died.
He's the donor. Yeah.
So but after a while, you're using older DNA. I mean, I don't know if DNA degrades.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I know this is just a movie. Huh?
Copy of a copy.
Glad you brought it up because they talk about that.
Of a copy of a copy of a copy. When you had the original, it was fine because you could just get fresh DNA from him. But now that he's not there, I mean, unless they use Boba Fett.
They cover that. It's very interesting. They cover that when they talk about like.
So they're going to start degrading.
This generation of clone. Yes. This is from the original batch or whatever. But they do touch on that. They do discuss that real quick.
So I mean, after a while, it's.
Yeah, like you said, Tony, copy of a copy of a copy. So it's things are going to degrade eventually, but
correct.
So we have to, unfortunately, once again, say goodbye and remember the falling to his death trooper when they were on the zip line going across, going from one building to the other. They were. He's just like
very sad, very sad.
Thoughts and prayers. I mean, a lot of clones get shot and stuff, and they get blown up and things like that. But it's like, so what we're doing with this, it's like, if you get shot or you get blown up, you don't know it. You're done. You just lights out. But these poor souls are falling to their death. They're being eaten alive by something. I mean, it's just the poor clones. Some of them just go out harsh, man, just harsh. All right, so moving on to our last episode in this series, in this particular batch. Blue Shadow Virus. The only note that I have for it is Jar Jar Binks. That's the only thing I wrote down. It was just the guy doing the voice. It sounds like me trying to do a Jar Jar voice, and I can't. And then there was what's her Poppy Pepsi, Poppy Bo. I think that was the female Poppy Bo, Pippy Peppy, the female Gungan.
Yeah.
She was cute. I mean, I'd smash, I suppose, but I think there should be.
So stupid.
I'm just saying the Gungans and their tongue. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there.
Man.
I'm just saying. I mean, she could hit you from across the room with that. Got him. Anyway.
Yeah, and rip it off.
No, they're good. They can control. They're prehensile. They're good with those tongues. Okay. But
not Jar Jar.
Jar Jar. He has me questioning things about myself too from time to time. But
that motherfucker. He's a Scooby Doo episode. I mean, fuck.
He is.
It's like,
I really think something should have happened between the two.
You can't resist a bug. You're like this chancellor. Like, you can go get food, fool. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like a representative.
This is my
What
primary
time?
note for this episode as well. Is just the oh fuck, we're back to dumbass Jar Jar again.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
I feel bad because whenever it's a Jar Jar Padme episode, just like, all right, I get it. Let's do
Like Padme's the bomb. She
is.
I love Padme.
Hmm?
I love Padme, and she's so forgiving of him. Because
She's so nice. She's so gentle with him.
she really is, because he almost just ruined everything again.
Mhm.
So, no.
He almost got the
He's-
entire planet dead. I mean, basically. I mean,
Well, that's why he got kicked out of his own world, for God's sake.
Mhm.
Oh, and then the doctor, when he was looking through the little telescope, did you guys? He zoomed in right on Padme's ass. I promise you, the animators did that shit on purpose, and they were laughing their asses off when they did it. So, okay, the doctor's looking around. Oh, he spots our heroes. Zoom in on Padme's ass in her little tight hazmat suit. It's like, get the fuck out.
Uh-oh.
What'd you spill?
No, I didn't spill anything, but this thing that's my computer's on is about to break. Okay.
Oh shit! Don't. Well, we're wrapping up.
I'm not going to move here. But
so,
you saw again Anakin loving his Padme.
Oh man!
Did you see that face when Obi-Wan's like, "You're not to go get her"?
Yeah, it's like that's a risk we're gonna have to take. If she might die in there, and he was like, "That's a risk we're gonna have to take."
Yeah, because there's no way.
Obi-Wan gets it. He knows how Anakin feels about her, but at the same time, Obi-Wan still has that common sense enough to know that, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So, like, who else? Like we heard, I think it was Aayla Secura. I think she said, don't sacrifice one for 1,000. Trying to talk to Ahsoka about that. And it's to some extent that is absolutely true.
Right.
It's a hard choice to make. It's a very, very hard choice to make, And Anakin is not good at leaving his loved ones behind. I mean, we saw in Jedi Crash when he used the Force to push everybody into the airlock, and he was willing to sacrifice himself to stop that blast. He was ready to die for everybody else in that room, including the clones. And Padme wasn't even there.
No, but I think that I thought was heroic for him to do.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like and again, we go back to as we're watching the Clone Wars, we are seeing, Ahsoka develop, but we're also really, really seeing the depths of Anakin's compassion.
Yeah.
Sherry, you and I talked about this recently with George Lucas. George Lucas was explaining in very simple terms the difference between the light side and the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
And George himself, words from his mouth, he said that the light side, he wasn't talking about the Jedi and the Sith. He just said light side, dark side.
Mm-hmm.
The light side is selfless, period. They do things for others. The dark side is selfish. They think only inwardly of themselves. So that could apply to both Jedi and Sith, because when Anakin becomes Vader, is he still selfish? I mean, we don't see him performing any selfless acts except when he stops Boba Fett from shooting Chewbacca. We see that. But Anakin, as we've seen so far, he is extremely selfless. But do those selfless acts, is that coming from a place of love or a place of fear of loss, or a little bit of both? So that's him.
For him, it's both.
Yeah.
It's both for him.
For him in particular, especially this early on, I think it's a combination of three things. I think it's a combination of love. I think it's a combination of fear, but I also think it's just a overconfidence in his own abilities, where it's the
Sure.
oh, no problem. I can throw you guys through this door, and I'm still going to be fine. I'm going to make it out on my own.
Okay. So he's got that
a little
cocky
bit,
arrogance.
a little bit of arrogance, maybe.
Oh, a lot. Yeah, for sure.
But I don't.
I mean, when someone tells you you're the chosen one.
No, I know, but I don't think it's for. To be honest, at this point, I don't think it's for selfish reasons. At this point.
Oh, agreed. I don't think it's. Yeah.
It just turns into later on.
And even then, I like in his particular case, I don't know that I consider it selfish. I mean, feel of loss by itself is not a selfish thing. It's just.
But the thing is, he hurts the love of his life for his own selfish reasons because he wants to keep her safe.
He's afraid to lose her. He's afraid to lose. It's that fear of loss. For Anakin, it's always been since day one, since he was 9 years old and he lost his mother, or he left his mother. It's fear of loss. You know, like Yoda sensed it immediately. He said, "You're afraid. You know, you miss your." He's like, "I miss my mother." You know, and then obviously when she's murdered by the Tusken Raiders, I mean, it's like that just really cemented that fear into place. You know, now he has someone else to love. He wasn't able to protect his mother with all the power that he has. He wasn't able to protect his mother, but you better be fucking damn sure he's going to protect Padme by any means necessary. And ultimately, we won't talk about it because we're not there yet. But but he's gonna protect Padme no matter what happens, no matter what he has to do, even if that means dipping his toes into the dark side.
That's the flip. That's the selfish
between selfish and selfless. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
It's one of those things. Well, if I can't have her, you can't.
Right.
I mean,
so we're gonna see it.
Yeah.
We're coming up on that pretty soon.
So, but no, I thought this episode was pretty decent.
What, blue shadow virus?
Yeah, it was fine. I'm not sure. I mean, unless they're going to do something more with this shadow virus, I just really didn't think it was relevant.
It was okay. It was okay.
You know? Yeah.
I agree. I don't think we got a whole lot of extra depth from it.
I mean, the bad guy is very, very one-dimensional. Now, to me, the only point this episode had, again, unless this virus turns into a bigger thing, is that we're establishing just how far the Separatists will go. I mean, you want to talk about difference between light side and dark side. I mean, we're talking chemical warfare,
right?
Like, that's a whole other level that we have yet to see.
Well, like genocide. He was going to kill the whole planet. Or all kinds of planets, actually.
Yeah. But I think
straight up genocide.
I think he went off even the Separatist rails. He was using Separatist equipment, but he had his own agenda of bringing peace to the galaxy by eradicating the virus that is sentient species that bring war to the galaxy. So he's like, well, he basically was going to Thanos snap, but on a larger scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that was his mentality. I loved the design. I loved the look. I loved how they made him look like a 1950s movie villain.
Oh, like he looked like Mr. Freeze.
He did look like Mr. Freeze. Yeah. It was pretty cool. I liked it.
The old school Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Yeah. But the rest of the episode was trash. It was dumb. He was like, yeah.
What was that?
Like an old German
weird.
Nazi scientist. It's like, no, it was okay. I guess.
Yeah.
Is it worth a watch?
Not really.
They're all worth watching, I suppose.
The only important part was just the little spark with Anakin and Padme, and then that was it.
Yeah. If you're pressed for time, you can skip it. You know, read the wiki.
Again, I'm curious because, it doesn't. I don't know that we're done with this virus as a whole yet. If we are,
you don't think so?
Then this can be skipped completely. If we're not, then obviously there could be some importance still. But
okay,
we'll see. We'll see next week what happens.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. We're going to wrap things up. Homework assignment for next week, Succulents. The Clone Wars Season 1, Episodes 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. All right, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 5 episodes. That's it. And then we'll have Season 1 wrapped up. And we'll be wrapping up our season of Star Wars Sucks and then taking a couple weeks off. But we'll talk about that more next week. So if you want to know more about what's going on for the rest of the season, which is just exactly what I told you because that's it for us. But if you want to find out what's going on for next season, because I'll have that posted pretty soon, you can check us out on the web. Look at our roadmap. It's at circleofnerds.com/the SWS show. And, of course, now it's time for our obligatory pimpage. So please do check us out on all social media at the SWS show. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast or our YouTube channel. So get the podcast wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, or just check us out on YouTube. And if you'd like some of this sweet merch that we've got that we don't ever wear because none of us have purchased any, and I need to by that. Anyway, head on over to the website, circleofnerds.com/merch, and pick you up some sweet Circle of Nerds or Star Wars Sucks shirts. Be the talk of the town as you walk down the street in your very own shirt that says Star Wars Sucks emblazoned on it. Go to your next convention. Go to your next convention wearing a shirt that says Star Wars Sucks on it. You know, Star Wars Celebration in Japan is coming up. So we're going to have to, I'm sure we'll get an invite, but
of course.
I think we need to wear our gear, our Star Wars Sucks gear there.
Absolutely.
That's going to get people into a lot of trouble.
All
right, so everyone, it'll be fun. It'll be fine.
Of course.
So wear our Star Wars Sucks shirt at Star Wars Celebration, and not only will we get you your own hoodie, we'll get you a hoodie for free. We'll also pay for your medical bills.
Don't say that. I ain't got no money for that.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, you're on your own then, guys. All right, Succulents. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We really do appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. You could be listening to anything, anywhere else, but you're choosing to spend time with us, and we appreciate you. So thank you so much. And as always, if no one does anything nice for you, remember to please, please, please do something nice to yourself, and we're going to see you all next week. Bye.